Hello and welcome to today's video, end of year recap style videos, and every year I try and make a couple of different sort of top 5 lists or something. And so today what I'm doing is I'm doing my top 5 pens of all time. Now granted, I think there's 8 or 9 pens I'm looking at today, but I have a top 5 and currently they are in my Galen leather 10 pen expansy case. I love this thing. I'm going to show you these pens in more detail with the other camera angle, and I'll do a writing sample with a few of them. But these are pens that have either been in my collection for a long time or have had a huge impact in a short amount of time. The order shifts as my tastes shift. So sometimes, you're really in a fine nib sort of mood. And so for a year, you might really love your fine nibs and you venture back towards broad nibs or stub nibs or whatever. And of course, everyone's list is going to be different. This is my 5. Yes, primarily they are well-established brands. That is something that I appreciate. They know what they're doing. They're great pens. But it doesn't mean that the small makers aren't doing amazing things and that your favorite pen brand or favorite pen isn't worth looking at too. We all want different things, and these are what I really, really love. Yes, I will also say a lot of these pens are quite expensive. And that is just the way things are. You do get quality for money a lot of the times. It's either interesting materials. And sometimes the material of a pen does really, grab you. Sometimes it's an amazing nib. And some of those amazing nibs are made of gold and they cost a lot more. Sometimes these pens are from brands that are super well established, high-end brands, and the pens do cost a lot of money, but there's a reason they've got to that point. So yes, these are expensive pens. It doesn't mean that there aren't really, really great affordable pens. And I show a lot of those on this channel. So go back and look through my reviews. You'll find many pens in the sub 50 category. You'll find a ton of pens in the sub 100 category, but most of these are slightly more expensive. And, the majority of them are pens I have purchased myself. So, keep that in mind, that these are not pens I'm just sent for a review and all that kind of stuff. These are pens I love, that I have used and continue to use. So let's look at them at the other camera angle, and let's see how we go. Okay, so let's start looking at these highly commended pens. I'll show the pen, do a quick writing sample with it, and move on. The highly commended pens are 3 pens that aren't in the top 5, either for specific reasons or they just didn't quite make it. This one is not in the top 5 because it's still relatively new. It is the G.O.A.T Piston Carbon Black. This is an amazing pen. Every time I use it, I love it more and more. I want to use it more and more, and it brings me such joy. I love the design. I love the materials. I love the way it writes. And I think in time, this pen will creep higher and higher in my list. Now, let's be honest. The 5 pens I'm going to show you as my top 5 are going to be hard to beat. But if any of them can, I have a strong feeling this might be one of them. So let's do a very quick writing sample here for the highly commended. It has a number 8 steel nib, and I have it in the medium. And the ink in this is Robert Oster. I did not write that well, but it's Tranquility. You can see it writes quite wet. It writes smooth. It's a great size in the hand. It's a beautiful looking pen, as I said. So yeah, give it time. This is gonna definitely creep up in my estimations. The next highly commended pen is another relatively new one, even newer to me than the G.O.A.T Piston Carbon Black. It is this. This is the Pilot Sterling or Pilot Sylvan, depending on where you see it listed. This is a wonderful, wonderful pen with a beautiful gold, inlaid nib there. Just absolutely stunning. Great pen in the hand, writes like a dream. Once again, this is one of those pens that, like, every time I use it, I love it more. And it was right there knocking on the list this year. And the more I write with it, the more I think I will fall in love with this pen. Okay, the next highly commended is the Pilot Sterling. This has a 18 carat gold medium nib, and the ink in this is Pilot Iroshizuku Shinkai. Amazing pen. Smooth, wet, beautiful. Yeah, I struggle. Like, if you watched my shopping video from Japan, you'll see a little bit more about it. And I will be reviewing this pen next year. And I did buy this pen as my birthday present to myself for next year. But I couldn't not use it. So it's been in my setup and I absolutely love it. So there we have the Pilot Sterling 18 karat gold nib with the Shinkai. This is my second highly commended pen. And the third highly commended pen, I think you'll be surprised isn't in the top 5, given how much I've spoken about how much I love this pen over the years. It is the Lamy 2000. Now, this was neck and neck for 5th place. So this is effectively 6th place. I just haven't found myself going to it as much recently. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this pen. I have, at the moment, over 600 fountain pens in my collection. The fact that this is effectively number 6 means it's held in very high esteem. I changed it to an extra fine nib from the medium that I had in it, and I couldn't be happier. Writes beautifully. I love the design. Something had to not be in the 5, and unfortunately, this was moved out. So the Lamy 2000 is my third highly commended. This has a 14 karat gold. This is the extra fine, which I absolutely love. Like, it's got a slight little sort of, almost like a slight little architecty grind on it, which I really enjoy. The ink in this is Diamine 1864 blue black. This has had a lot of inks in it over the years. Lamy Petrol, Lamy Dark Lilac been high performers in this. Diamine Oxford Blue, Robert Oster Tranquility. School Blue from Robert Oster has been in here a lot. This ink, Diamine 1864 Blue Black, has been in there a lot. I tend not to use like high sheening inks and things necessarily in this pen, because being a piston filler, it is slightly harder to clean. But I just absolutely adore this pen. It writes nice and wet and smooth, and it's consistent and reliable. And yeah, the Lamy 2000, it speaks for itself. So those are the 3 highly commendeds on today's list. Let's move now on to the top 5. At number 5 today is a pen that, quite frankly, used to be number 1 on this list, and it has been number 1 on my lists for a long time. It is the Visconti Homo Sapiens. So why is it now number 5? Well, I just find that for my style of writing and what I'm using more, that this pen just hasn't been getting as much attention. I think it's a sensational pen. I love the aesthetics of it. I love the mechanics of it, the engineering of it. I love the nib. I love how it writes. I just love this pen. It was one of my first Grail pens, and as soon as I got it, I fell in love with it, and I have been in love with it ever since. So the Homo Sapiens today, the Bronze Age Homo Sapiens here, coming in at number 5 on my top 5 list. This has the old 23 karat palladium nib on it, and it has a fine nib. You can see in the writing there's like a little like gentle bounce on this nib, which is really enjoyable. The ink in this today is another diamond, just like the 1864 blue black from the 150th anniversary set. Is terracotta. Something about the combination of terracotta and the lava and the bronze, for me, it just works. What a great combination. And a beautiful ink that just writes gorgeously in this pen. It's super wet. I've never had a problem with my old 23 karat palladium nibs. I've used a couple of the new 18 karat gold nibs that are coming on the Visconti pens now, and they are nice. But both the medium and the fine nibs that I've had for this pen have both been sensational writers. Like, utterly sensational. And I understand that is my good fortune, because a lot of people had a very different experience with those. But this at number 5 on my top 5 pens in my collection, yeah, I can't think of a pen more worthy of that position. So coming in at number 4 is the highest ranked steel nib in my collection, and that is this pen. Now, I made a video that's either going live now or has not quite gone live. That is my top steel nibs in my collection. And this was not on that list because there's something about the one that, will edge this one out. But in terms of the entire pen, the Diplomat Excellence A2 is unbeatable. The weight in the hand, the feel in the hand, I think it's not an inexpensive pen for what you're getting, but it is a remarkable pen. It's subtle, it's subdued, it's business-like, but it writes like a gift. So the Diplomat Excellence A2 here, coming in at number 4. Wonderful pen. This has a steel. So it's just a number 6. Diplomat's nibs are made by Jovo, and then they are sort of tuned and worked in-house. And this one is a medium nib. And the ink in this is Ackerman. Simplicity's Violet. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous, vibrant violet purple ink. A perfect match for this pen. It writes smooth, it writes relatively wet, but it's a great workhorse pen. It's a pen I turn to when I need to do long writing sessions, when I know I'm going to be journaling a lot, or, need a pen inked for quite a while. Like, it's just a standard cartridge converter pen, but I can write with it just non-stop. It is just a beautiful, gorgeous pen, and very much my aesthetic and my absolute style in so many ways. Now, number 3 on this list is a pen from Pelikan. It is the M805. I have it here just in the standard blue stripe, and as I said, because it's an 805, it's got the silver coloured trim. I've got this with a medium nib, and it is a big medium, but it is just a fantastic pen. So many people say that this is probably one of the best pens currently available on the market. Like, it's most comfortable, it writes well, and it's hard to fault. It is expensive, and they are getting more expensive, but in terms of being sort of like a really great everyday writer size, if I was going to use this as a true everyday writer, I would probably get a finer nib. I have an M605, the Stresemann version, which I use more as an everyday writer. That's got an extra fine nib, which writes kind of like a standard fine. This medium writes like a standard broad, or some brands are double broad, but it's a beautiful 18 karat gold nib. It just writes so well. I love this pen. I very rarely don't have it and a couple of its brothers inked. So let's look at this one. Number 3 is the Pelikan M805. You can hear it kind of singing on this paper. That's how smooth that nib is. This has an 18 karat gold medium nib, and the ink in this is Pilot Hiroshizuku Tsukiyo. What a great ink, firstly. But also, like, how beautiful is the line this pen lays down. It's nice and wet. It's generous. It's gorgeous. And it's just a joy to write with. As I said, in the hand, it just fits so well. It looks great in the hand, and it writes like that. Like, there's... Pelikan really, really know what they're doing. And that carries into number 2 on today's list. It is the M1000. This is like the flagship pen of Pelikan. It's bigger, like noticeably bigger there than the M800, but not so big that it's not comfortable in the hand. Like a couple of big flagship pens from other brands just feel a little big. You know, they just feel like they're pushing the boundaries of an everyday pen. Now, for me, this is what I consider my journaling pen. I don't take it out of the house. I don't use it, you know, at work and things like that. It sits with my journal or in my pen case to be used in my journal. And because it gives me joy to write with. I want to write with it, and therefore, you know, journaling doesn't feel like a chore. Journaling always feels like it's a pleasure. Long writing sessions are great with this pen. It's reliable, it's consistent, it never falters. And the size is so comfortable and the weight is so well balanced that it's hard to go past this pen. In fact, when selecting numbers 1 and 2 on this list, it was like I could have flipped a coin. And if I made this list again next week, they may be reversed. But I don't really have a bad word to say about the M1000. It is not, once again, it is not cheap, but just the perfect writer. Number 2. Pelikan M1000. Once again, 18 karat gold, but this is a fine nib. And the ink I have in this is a diamine. And it's Sherwood green. I alternate between diamine Sherwood green and diamine 160th anniversary canal side, which is a slightly darker green than this, but this has a lovely like blue leaning green, and only ever so slightly blue. Like it's not like a aqua or anything like that, but it just sort of has like a little bit of blue underneath it. Like it reminds me of like pine trees and things like that. So that's where sort of the foresty sort of feel is. I just think it's such a beautiful writer. It's a broad fine. You know, it's as broad as a couple of these medium nibs, but gosh, it just writes so beautifully. And as I said, long writing sessions with this pen are a gift. It just never falters. It never doesn't do what you want it to do. It's just such a fantastic pen. I bought this for my birthday this year, so for 2025. I'd wanted one for ages, and I'm really glad I have it. It's just beautiful. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to make a prediction as to what is my number 1 pen on this list. If you've watched my channel, if you have seen any of my content, 10 seconds to decide. Did you pick it? It is this, the Pilot Custom 823. Most people really like this pen. There are a few people who don't like it, and that's totally fine. Everyone's tastes are different. But there is a reason why so many people love this pen and swear by this pen and have it as their grail pen and, you know, hold it up in such high esteem. It is just remarkable. It writes beautifully. It has a beautiful classic aesthetic. It's got a great, ink capacity with the filling system, the vac filler. It's got an amazing nib on it. It is one of the most unique writing experiences I have in my collection. And I can't really describe it. I describe it as having a feel of like having suspension, and then it's like the slightest bit of feedback while being perfectly smooth, so you always know you're writing. I have it in a broad nib, and it's not a super broad, and I'm really glad of that because I use this pen so much. I use this in everyday writing. I use this at work. You know, there's a few scratches and little micro marks on it and things nowadays. I've had it for a number of years, but I use it. I really, really use this pen a lot. I really love it. So, as I said, I've done reviews of all of these, so you can go check them out. And I've done multiple videos about this pen, and I've got another video planned for next year about the 823 as well. I just think they're amazing. So, yeah, check out my other videos about this pen as well, but let's do a little writing with it now. Okay, number 1 today is the Pilot. Pilot Custom 823. This has a glorious 14 karat gold broad nib, which, you know, like, let's be honest, it's not that much broader, if at all, than the fine Pelikan nib there. And the ink in this is Diamine from the 160th anniversary set. It is Rosewood. Firstly, I've got to say, this is a stunning ink. The shading on that and the smoothness of it is beautiful, but that's also in part because of this just glorious, glorious nib. It writes wet, it writes smooth. It's always consistent. It's always reliable. If I broke this pen or lost it, it's one of a handful of pens I would instantly replace. Like, I would find a way to replace it that minute because it is just such a gift for pen. The size of the pen, the weight of the pen, the balance, the classic design. It is just absolutely brilliant. So these are the top 5 fountain pens currently in my collection. Will this change? Probably. Will I get pens that will move some of these out? Maybe one day. Do I have pens that are sort of like in the mix at the moment that are creeping their way up? Well, you saw, absolutely I do. But at the moment, the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age at number 5, the Diplomat Excellence A2 at number 4, the Pelikan M805 at number 3, the Pelikan M1000 at number 4, and the utterly incredible Pilot Custom 823 at number 1. And so, the question I'm asking here, and obviously everyone's tastes is going to be different, is this the perfect pen? Is it the perfect pen for me? Well, I think it's hard to beat. I am going to be getting another one of these. I've got the broad nib. I'm toying up whether to get the medium or the fine. I'm leaning towards the medium. I've got the fine nib on the Custom 845. I know it's a slightly different nib, but like, yeah, amazing. So, that's the top 5. So that was my top 5 pens list. I don't think there were too many surprises there. This is of all time. It's not of this last year. So these are pens that have been on my channel multiple times, you know, multiple different videos about what I'm writing with, or ink reviews or pen reviews, themed videos, things like that. So of course they're going to be there. They're great pens. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got a way you would like to support my channel, I would really love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.